Intelligence quotient. I want to be rich like Alfred Ford. I want to be famous like the Beatles. I want to be successful. I want to be happy. I want. How do we fulfill all these wants, or more appropriately, what will make us better in achieving these desires compared to others? The first requirement that strikes us is intelligence. Intelligence is the ability to respond to new and changing situations in a meaningful way that demonstrates comprehension, learning, abstract thinking, and problem solving capabilities. It is the overall capacity to think rationally, to act purposefully, and to deal effectively with one's environment. In simple terms, intelligence is doing the right thing at the right time at the right place. It is the effective use of intelligence which brings fame and glory. So how do we measure and improve our intelligence? At the beginning of 20th century, as psychologists discovered ways and means to measure intelligence, there emerged a progressive development in the understanding of various aspects of intelligence. The three Q's: IQ, intelligence quotient; EQ, emotional quotient; SQ, spiritual quotient. Most of us are aware of the first two Q's. In example, IQ and EQ. The following sections on IQ and EQ focuses on their definition, their relevance in the present society, and their shortcomings in comparison to the most important Q, which is the SQ. If one has a brief idea of IQ and EQ, it is strictly recommended that one may directly read the SQ section, as it is entirely independent from the first two Qs. The SQ directly addresses the most fundamental questions efficiently and also equips a person with the other two Qs in a balanced manner. It is like watering a tree. If one wastes his time watering the leaves, flowers, fruits, or branches individually, then he is in gross ignorance. Instead, if one directly waters the root of the tree, then he nourishes the tree in the best possible manner. This study and implementation of SQ is exactly like watering the root of the tree, and no separate endeavor is required to nurture the other two Qs. Just as the other parts of the tree, like the leaves and branches, are automatically nourished. The, the quest begins. Intelligence quotient. Most of us know that Einstein had an IQ of over 160. The following questions arise: does the IQ value of a person really have any significance? What does it actually mean? Can we improve our IQ? Does having a great IQ imply that we are always successful? Does a low IQ mean that we are always lagging behind others? Intelligent quotient or IQ is a measure of intelligence. Originally, measurement of IQ was conducted to detect people with low intelligence, specifically children, so as to provide them with additional educational help. Aristotle's definition of man as a rational animal later developed into an obsession with IQ, which led to even the sane hankering to get an IQ score. Importance of IQ. IQ is often blindly accepted as the only measure of intelligence. People with higher IQs outwardly may have a higher level of education, may have bigger incomes, may do better at their jobs, may have lower crime rates, and may have better health. However, it should be noted that IQ is designed to be independent of self assessed levels of happiness. Measurement of IQ. IQ scores are calculated based on the deviation method, which means how much our intelligence differs from the average IQ scores of others. The current IQ test would grade most of us to a score 100. The standard deviation of intelligence quotient scores is 15. Statistically, the variation of IQ is as follows. 95% of people have intelligence quotient scores between 90 and 110. 2.5% of people are very superior in intelligence over 130. 2.5% of people are mentally deficient, impaired, retarded under 70. 0.0005% of people are near genius or genius over 140 or completely retarded under 60. As the graph suggests, most of us have an IQ ranging from 70 to 130, a majority centering on 100. It is very clear from this graph that we all have almost the same IQ. IQ tests. There are many standards tests that attempt to measure a person's IQ. However, there is an ongoing debate about the accuracy and validity of many of these tests. Several popular tests have been shown to be culturally biased. For example, if a person born and brought up in Asia takes English-based IQ test, he may receive an inaccurate score. However, some tests claim to have corrected this problem. The first IQ test was developed by a psychologist named Alfred Binet to help identify students who might need extra help in school. This test was later refined by Stanford University professor Louis Terman into the Stanford Binet test, which is used even today to identify gifted students. The first test to measure intelligence in adults was designed by Dr. David Wechsler and was called the Wechsler Adult Intelligence Scale. He also created a test for children called the Wechsler Intelligence Scale for Children. The unique aspect of these tests is that they report separate scores for verbal and performance IQ. This gives the ability to judge intelligence independent of verbal ability. These tests are still in vogue today. Even if you have a small brain, by stimulating your mind with puzzles and games or by taking intelligence tests on a regular basis, you are likely to get better at passing intelligence tests with high scores. The reason is simple: practice makes man perfect. Also, more importantly, all of us have almost the same IQ with small variations. This is clearly evident from the bell curve presented above. Most of the population, about 95% of the mass, falls in the average IQ category. An IQ test would only re emphasize the same fact. One of the most advanced countries has a system of admitting children into school which is pathetic to say the least. A small child, barely 3 or 4 year old, seeking to see the daylight of formal education, undergoes a series of IQ based tests. The anxious parents try their best but rather end up torturing the kid to be fluent in language, identify a lot of things from fruits to cars to animals, and also teach them to behave in a new environment. The system is similar to the SET or IIT JEE entrance models to get a seat for a 3-year-old in a top private school. In his book IQ, a smart history of a failed idea, author Stephen Murdoch indicates that this system only produces qualified mugpots rather than a generation of youth who can think innovatively and produce out of the box ideas. Increasing IQ. IQ is inherent in us by birth and is almost equal in most of us, as depicted in the bell curve. Some studies reveal that it may also depend on genetic, cultural, economic, and other factors, but it has been proven that IQ cannot be increased, being inherent from birth. By solving more puzzles, Sudoku, crosswords, etc., we are just tuning our brain to solve them better. It does not actually mean that our IQ is increased. We just become proficient in these so called intellectual activities. We just become narrow in our thinking and tune ourselves to do certain things more perfectly. According to Dr. McDaniel, findings hoping to increase intelligence by means of an intelligence quiz or an intelligence quotient test is just an illusion. Many programs, books, and teachers claim to have some kind of breakthrough method for improving intelligence, but none of them qualify as far as the American Psychological Association is concerned. What's more likely is that the more we start using our brains, the better we get at specific types of activities. Interestingly, only 6% of all the gray matter in the brain seems to be related to IQ. We constantly exercise our IQ through curriculum studies at colleges, trainings at offices, and many other activities. Frankly speaking, we are already over nurturing it and hence have become narrow and single minded, losing the flexibility in our own natural way of thinking. We have left our we have left out the rest of our brain's gray matter, that is nearly 94%, failing to realize its importance. The following is an excerpt from telegraphindia.com. Read on to find whether nurturing IQ is so important. Should EQ and more importantly SQ be given their due importance in the present educational system? Swapnil Chandrakant Dashraskar, second year Mechanical Engineering, IIT Kanpur. Lokesh Chand, third year ECE, IIT Roorkee. Vijay Nakula, fourth year CSE, IIT Powai. Anjan Kumar, second year Chemical Engineering, IIT Kanpur. Abhilash Jej, a PhD scholar from Kerala pursuing doctoral studies at IIT Kanpur. Prashant Kumar, first year Electrical Engineering, IIT Kanpur. G. Suman, second year MTech, IIT Kanpur. You might be guessing who are these students. One thing which grabs our attention at the first glance is IIT, Indian Institute of Technology. These are not the names of students who have done amazing work in their fields at a young age, but of those who committed suicide. Yes, these suicides are become common incidents at IIT. In fact, IIT Kanpur tops the list in the number of suicides every year. The year 2009 began with a fresh suicide case of G. Suman, who allegedly killed himself by hanging due to failure in campus placements. Before him was Prashant Kumar, first year student, who also hanged himself in the room, apparently stressed over his exams. Abhilash J. allegedly committed suicide consuming cyanide and wrote a suicide note which said he was under depression. Every parent wants their child to be a topper in their class. These students making it to the IITs are factually supposed to be the creamiest layer of the country. They would have excelled in their prior academic pursuits, but the stress to maintain the reputation of being an IITian, dejection and shame at being one of the few unsuccessful ones are the main culprits that hamper them. This leads to a situation called brilliance shock, where one reels into the abyss of inferiority complex and low self esteem. Last but not the least, the campus recruitment and of late recession create depression in the students, which makes them emotionally weak and forces them to end their lives. High self expectation creates an egocentric attitude, which, in a state of depression, fills our mind with negative thoughts and provokes such cowardly acts like suicide. Psychoanalyst Rashmi Chaturvedi, who has been counseling IITians for some time now, said their mission is to parachute into top jobs. The fear of not getting it immediately causes a grave personality breakdown. Also, two psychologists were deputed on the campus premises, yoga centers, and regular counseling provided to students. Still, such incidents occurred with the rising suicide rates among the youth. It can be said that today higher intelligence EQ and SQ is perhaps more important and relevant to the youth than IQ. This clearly indicates that the students have their own imaginary, unrealistic, predefined goals in life. Upon failing to achieve these, they succumb to all sorts of misdoings. Looking forward, is IQ the best way to predict what we will accomplish in life? We have been conditioned to believe that IQ is the best measure of human potential in the past 10 years. However, researchers have found that this is not necessarily the case, that in actuality, your emotional intelligence quotient might be a greater predictor of success. The fact which current studies clearly point to is that IQ does not completely measure our intelligence. IQ is a measure of only a part of our overall intelligence. For overall development, we need to look at IQ, EQ, and SQ. We have always nurtured our IQ but unfortunately left out our EQ and SQ. This has created an imbalance within us and made us very monotonic. We not only carry IQ with us but also EQ and SQ, but we often lack providing them due attention.